The German Chancellor Friedrich Merz is in Turkey on his first official visit since taking office. He's aiming to rebuild ties after years of tension between the two countries. Merz was welcomed in the capital Ankara by the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. After they talked, Chancellor Merz underscored Turkey's role on the international stage. He said there's no way around having a good and positive relationship with Turkey. Their talks also covered migration and repatriating failed asylum seekers from Germany to Turkey. Let's take a listen to some of what Merz had to say.
Let us make even better use of the enormous potential of our relations in the coming months and years. There are compelling reasons for doing so. We are entering a new phase in geopolitics, which is shaped by the policies of major powers. For me, one key conclusion is that as Germans and as Europeans, we must expand our strategic partnerships. In doing so, there is no way around a good and deepened partnership with Turkey.
NDW correspondent Julia Hahn joins us now from Ankara to talk about this. Julia, we just heard the German Chancellor there highlighting the importance of Turkey and a positive relationship. Can you tell us more about what Merz is aiming to get out of this visit?
Well, I think in the run-up to this visit, the expectation on both sides was that this will be a very friendly meeting between partners, as the German Chancellor is seeking to rebuild long-strained ties between Ankara and Berlin, with a strong emphasis on a positive agenda. And to a certain extent, this is what happened. This is what we've been seeing. They talked a lot about the need for stronger cooperation in areas like trade, migration, security, and defense. And this is, I think, because of the overall changing geopolitical realities, increasing security fears in Europe vis-à-vis Russia. So I think this explains why the German Chancellor is now reaching out to Turkey and emphasizing mutual interest and the need for strategic cooperation. We heard similar words there from President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, but they were not really able in the joint press conference to hide the fact that they do disagree over a number of issues.
Absolutely. And one of those issues is the situation in Gaza. Did their talks touch on that?
Well, yes, Germany is one of Israel's closest allies, while the Turkish president is one of the fiercest critics of Israeli military action in Gaza, which he today again referred to as genocide, which prompted the German Chancellor then to emphasize Israel's right to self-defense in the face of the Hamas terrorist attack of October 2023. Now, if you look at Hamas, for Germany it's a terrorist organization, for Turkey it's a liberation group, and these are some quite fundamental differences between the two leaders. But what they do agree on here is the need for this ceasefire in Gaza to hold and to be turned into a long-lasting peace, and the need for more humanitarian aid to reach the people of Gaza.
Now, prior to his trip to Ankara, Chancellor Merz was urged to bring up the topics of democracy, of human rights violations with Erdogan. Would he have broached those topics?
Well, not really. Only when he was asked about the ongoing crackdown here in Turkey on the opposition, the jailing of opposition politicians by a German journalist, especially the case of Istanbul's mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, who spent the last 7 months in pre-trial detention over a number of charges ranging from corruption to espionage. Merz had to respond, and he said he has raised his concern over the rule of law in Turkey privately with President Erdogan. And then he said, as Germany, we want to see closer Turkey-EU ties, and he was referring to the Copenhagen criteria, which define whether a country can join the European Union in terms of democracy standards or not. President Erdogan, on the other hand, completely brushed it off, saying we have no issue at all with democracy here in Turkey. And he said the proceedings against opposition politicians here in the country are the works of an independent judiciary.
DW correspondent Julia Hahn in Ankara. Julia, thanks for bringing us up to date.